It is time to build our first machine learning model using Python code, in particular with the sklearn library. So go ahead and open up a new Colab notebook, and let's title this one Linear Regression. Okay. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go in and actually access data from the Colab notebook itself. So if you go on the left side, you can click on the little file box here. And then after it connects to a runtime, we see the sample data. Click on there. And then California Housing Train. Okay, we're going to use that. We'll talk another time about train and test, the difference. So to use it, by the way, best way is simply right click, copy the path, okay? So go ahead and import pandas. We need pandas to read in the data. Read in the data as usual. So pd.read underscore CSV. And then in the parentheses inside of quotes, after you copy the path, you can in fact paste it. Okay. You can see mine says content sample data, California housing, train. You should say something like that. And then you want to go ahead and look at it, make sure that it looks as we expect. Okay. So run that cell, shift enter. I'm going to go ahead and close the left file tab. See, there's an X there. And this looks good. This looks like the data that's wanted. I'm going to be sure to label things clearly so that we can go back here. So I'm going to add a text cell and I'm going to call it loading. I'm going to say what we're doing here. We're loading California housing data. And just recall too that this data, if you look at the far right column, that's the normal one to predict. Technically, you could predict others. It would be interesting to predict the median income. So these are for like neighborhoods. Okay, it's a median house value, right? So it's a group of houses. So we have median income. Okay. So we are going to build a machine learning model now. Okay, and it's important to be aware of what we're trying to do here. The goal is to predict the last column. Okay, and to do that, we're using all the other columns. Now we can check first. Okay, so let's try df.info. And the reason why I say to check is because look at this. We have all non-null numeric columns, and that's essential for machine learning. Okay, all non-null numeric columns. So we are good to go. If there are null values, the machine learning models will not work. And if they're not numeric, they will not work. Okay? So we're now ready. So this is the first thing we're going to do. We're going to, I'll give it a new text header. I think it's its own thing, like split data into X and Y. I mean, you could say that it's under loading data. I don't know. Yeah, do we give it 2 hashtags or 1? Split data into X and Y. Not a right way to do it. It can even be a comment here. Okay, well, how do we do that? Well, you've got to like think about what is the, what is X and what is Y. I like to think about it in terms of what is Y and then what is everything else. So let's do it like this. Set Y as it's the median house value column, right? You see it there on the list, number 8. Okay, well, we know how to do that now, right? Y equals df, and then in quotes, median house value. Awesome. Now, what about X? So this is interesting. So set X as, it's really everything else as all other columns. Columns except Y. So there are different ways you can do that. I'll show you a way I like. It's use this slicing. So X equals df dot iloc, use index location. Starting at the 0th column, I want that, so I can just use a regular colon, and all the way to the last one. That's kind of a standard way of doing it, actually. So it's not always the case, but it's often that the column of prediction is the last one, and so this df.iloc will work. And you can also use df.iloc -1 for y. Okay. What I mean is this here, just to show you. Same thing. Just going to rewrite it. But in this case, so you take all, well, I forgot something. So you take all rows, and then columns you want -1. And in this df.iloc, you need all rows, and the columns is the second piece. Okay, see how they're similar but different, right? This means you're just taking the negative first column, the last column. This colon means take them all, because there's no 0 here. It's by default there's a 0 here. So you start at the 0th one, you go all the way up to, but excluding the last one. Okay? And I'll put in here, this also works. You don't need to do it both ways. I'm just showing you, okay? I do it based on convenience. So press Shift Enter. Okay, let's check, right? I think we want to know, did it work? You know, well, let's just try it out. So verify Y. Looks good. I mean, these are, remember the 66,900? These are actually the right, it's right. And then X, I suppose like do .hex, a little cleaner. And we check, looks like we have all the inputs, and we do not have the last one. Median income was there. See if you go back, but median house value was there in the original. So it looks great. All right. So we've got our X and our Y now. Now for the good stuff. Now comes the machine learning itself. All right, it's given you a text header, build machine learning model. So I do want to make a note here. I'll do it with another text cell. The note is this. So the input is X and the output is Y. And if you define X and Y correctly, then it'll always be capital X and lowercase y. Okay? So here we go.